In this video, we're going to continue to make the boiler by adding some of the parts that are on top, like the stack and these other little portals that stick off the top. So first thing we're going to do is select the boiler. I have it selected. Make sure you have all the parts, the front, the rear, and the middle. Let's move them up to match the other blueprint. So we're going to go to left viewport. Now that we have them pretty much blocked out, we can put them up here so they're part of the full train background image. You see right here we have a smokestack. So first I'm going to show you the old way to do this, which is to model the stack and conform part of it. This way it'll match the radius and the curve of the actual boiler. And I'm going to show you a little bit of a newer way on the other items. So to get started, you're going to need a script from scriptspot.com, and the script is called TubeCap. Usually to install a script you can drag it into your Mac's viewport from your desktop or somewhere else, but I think this script is made for an older version of Mac, so that won't work. So what you need to do is go to your Mac's root directory, which is probably C, Program Files, Autodesk, 3ds Max 2012, and Scripts. And then inside there you'll see a startup directory, and if you take the MS file, the macroscript file for TubeCap, and you drag it into there, next time you start your Macs you're going to have a scriptable primitive called TubeCap, and I'm going to show you where that is in a second. But once again, you go to scriptspot.com and search for TubeCap. It's by Martijn van Herk. It's a great script. So now I have it installed. So I'm going to go to Create Panel, and where it says Standard Primitives, I'm going to click on that, and in the roll down you'll see at the very bottom I have this MVH Primitives, and if you click on that, there's TubeCap. And what we want to do is in the left viewport, we're going to go into where that smokestack is, and we're going to just make a primitive there. So I'm going to click roughly in the middle, drag out so we have the radius. I'm going to come in a little bit, just like that, and then I'm going to click. And what I have is pretty much just like a flat cylinder with no depth to it. And you have radius values over here, and segments and subdivisions if you were to have caps on there. And what you want to do now, I would say let's use 12 segments. I like to do 8, 12, 16, numbers like that based on 4. So we have 12 segments. That gives us a nice split right down the middle of that object. And what we're going to do is go to Rotate and turn on your angle snaps. Let's rotate that 90 degrees, which we just did, and go to Perspective Viewport. And now we can see that's probably the right shape and size for the stack. Now the problem is we want it to conform to the mesh below. Now you could sit there and put every vertex to the outside shape of that boiler manually, but that's really time consuming and it's not really using your resources to the best of your ability. So let's do this. I'm going to keep that selected. I'm going to select the boiler as well. Alt and Q to isolate those two objects. And then I'm going to click out an open space. I'm going to click that tube cap. Come over here to modify stack. It's still a tube cap primitive. I'm going to right click it, make it into an editable poly, which it is now. And now we're going to try the old way of doing this. We're going to make this shape conform to the barrel. And the way we do it is go here, and we're going to go to the primitives. We're going to go to compound objects. And you have a bunch of different things here, and they all have good functionality. Some are better than others. And what we're going to use today is conform. So we're going to click on conform. And what happens is we get this big rollout here, and it has some options. I'm going to show you the options we need to use. And that's going to take that mesh and conform it to the shape of the barrel. So here we go. What we want to do is roll all the way down. We're going to hide wrap to object. For some reason it creates another object when you wrap something. It's the same shape as the object you wrap to. It's not really necessary to show that. So we're going to just click that. That's set now. We'll also want to click along vertex normals. That's right here. And that's just going to tell the object to conform to the normal direction of the mesh below, which is exactly what you want it to do. And now you'll see up at the top of the Pick Wrap To object that we have a Pick Wrap To object button. So we're going to click on that, and then we are going to click in the viewport on the furnace or the boiler mesh, and you see that the stack now conforms roughly, no, not even roughly, very well to the shape of the boiler. So we can exit isolation mode. And now what we can do is right click in the stack here, it says conform, excuse me, and make that an editable poly. Okay. And now what we're going to do is do a border selection. And we're going to grab the inner border of that shape. Let's zoom in a little bit. And we're going to hold down shift, left click, and pull the z-axis arrow up, just like that. That's a shift drag. We're going to use the scale. We're going to slightly scale this uniformly. And now what we'll do is we're going to shift drag again up along the Z. And we're going to come over here and we're going to make it planar along the, not the Y, I'm sorry, the Z. So now it's level. Shift drag it again. One more time. Let's scale that with R. And let's W, shift drag it again. Shift, left click and pull. Hit R. Scale that. And you can see that's roughly the shape we want. Let's go down the bottom to this border here. And let's W for move and shift and drag that down. Okay, so that's roughly the shape of the stack. It conforms now nicely to the boiler. And what we want to do now is go to the top here of the edit poly, and in your modifier rollout you want to get a shell. So if you hit S 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times and hit enter, you have a shell modifier applied now. It added some thickness right off the bat. We're going to right click the outer amount and zero that out, and then what we're going to do is add an inner amount, which is right here. And let's see, 0.9 looks like a good value, and I'm going to give it 2 segments. Now if we go to the top of that stack, hit T 3 times to get turbo smooth, enter, F4 so we could see it without the wireframe. That looks really good. Let's add another iteration, and there you have it. We have a conformed smokestack on top of the boiler. Now if we were to build the whole stack and then use the conform, this whole depth would conform and it would flatten out the mesh, which is why we have to do it as a flat tube cap first. I'm going to pause the video and continue in the next exercise. We're going to try something different.